This week on Hermitcraft, people really struggle with basic forms of transportation.
Here's another idea that may result in my death. Let's fall down, press space. Well, that didn't work.
And we're flying on in. Oh no, what's going on? Oh.
Yeah. Wings? No?
A prank on the Convex HQ by the Revolution, and also didn't suffocate in our own elevator. Thank you very much.
There we go. Excellent. One more rocket, and I'm out. And I'm alive. Right, fell back in.
Welcome to the Hermitcraft Recap. My name is Pixel Riffs, our writer is LoyXP, and we have a theory that the other day xBCrafted woke up in the middle of the night feeling like he forgot something.
It's been a while since we've been on here. It's been a few months. I realized I forgot to do something before, the last time I logged off. Yeah.
Well, spring cleaning is as good a reason as any to come back to the server. And with that out of the way, let's take a look at all the events and mishaps that occurred on the Hermitcraft server this week. Starting with the aforementioned Mr. Crafted, who slips right back into the character of eccentric billionaire recluse by talking to his fish.
Hi, how are you?
Having finally taken down the green Mario and his spooky companions under the watchful eyes of his roof chickens, xBCrafted takes note that False has removed precisely 9 dark oak wood slabs from his roof in the execution of said prank, and takes that note directly to False's base, leaving it dressed in legalese and demanding the slabs return post-haste. Going from naught to court in about 20 minutes has to be a new server record.
Yeah, I didn't want it to come to this, but, you yeah.
We've yet to receive any comment from False, but maybe she's just not talking about it without her lawyers present. To once again prove what an outstanding citizen she is, False wanders off to Mumbo's base and finds a skeleton horse in desperate need of rescuing. Not letting good bones go to waste, she pulls the confused demonic animal out of the puddle and attempts to deliver it to her own base area, only giving up halfway though because horse water elevator mechanics are too stupid to deal with.
When I get on the horse, it brings him back down again. Come on, keep going, horsey. No, keep going. No, keep going. Dude, it's up here.
Getting back to her base on foot, False comes up with a couple more hot air balloons, held in the air by the sheer force of regret.
That balloon just looks very deflated. Like me right now.
And strives to finish up the black market project, adding new businesses such as a totally legit Wormman merch shop. I never thought that's something worth bootlegging, but there you go. And a beauty salon that is absolutely worth losing your head over.
A great selection of heads. These wonderful people totally volunteered and stuff.
We might have an idea of where the shop gets its stock, since Mumbo Jumbo sets up an underground head showcase of his own, in the basement of one of his townhouses, which this week gets converted into his first ever survival piston house. It was going to be an underground redstone lab, but he just had so many severed heads lying around. Still, the rest of the house has a button-activated kitchen grill, a working shower, and a piston-powered walk-in wardrobe, so it'll still fetch a decent price once it's on the market. Just don't ask about the basement.
We've actually populated the full room. We have no heads left over. We do have... Well, that's a lie, actually. We do have a handful of the different coloured horses' heads, but I didn't really want to place those in. But there we go. So that is what we're hiding away at the bottom of this piston house right here.
But the redstone contraptions are multiplying. After the setback of dying and losing all his gear last week, Mumbo decides to install a quick revive system underneath his sunken ship spawn point, essentially a bat cave, which throws equipment at him and launches him into the sky before he's even had his coffee. The downside of all this effort is that now he has to die before he gets to show off how useful it is. And he doesn't stop there, installing a double-digit spoon counter into the water wall around his guardian farm, although he already has to add 2 to the counter before it's even finished, because the first attempt counts down instead of up, and despite it being surrounded by water, he manages to wash away the redstone himself using a bucket.
No, it was bound to happen. We got so lucky then.
But of course, Mumbo's crowning achievement this week is providing us with this.
Oh no! The block of the week. Oh!
And while it speaks for itself, It's also going to take some explaining. So, every week, Mojang announces a block of the week for their blog on Minecraft.net, and this past week it was diorite. Naturally, everybody and their Mumbo was tweeting Iskall about it, but Mumbo decided to take things one step further, constructing a giant block of diorite, celebrating its 7 days of fame. The reaction video is made all the sweeter by the fact that this Frankenstein's monster gets shown off during a thunderstorm, with Iskall laughing maniacally. And after the storm passes and he's had a chance to calm down, he decides the build fits his base enough that he's going to keep it, albeit swapping the diorite out for white concrete powder, like some sort of Clearasil advert. With that taken care of, Iskall makes plans to build a chamber for destroying diorite inside this nameless concrete monstrosity.
Inside him, we should have a giant counter, which we made already over there, so we can just copy what we did there. And then we should have some kind of big input thing so that he's like eating the diorite. I think would be really cool. Make it look sweet, maybe even get help from Bumbo himself with some redstone piston stuff.
Whatever cream he's been using to clean up that particular bird poop, he could probably share it with Bumbo Cactoni's girlfriend, since she started to look a little rough around the edges. That's deliberate though, since Stressmonster decides to adapt Bumbo's girlfriend to her new life in the swamp by smudging her with different colours of clay and draping some leaves artfully around her head. So Bumbo's girlfriend needs to practice her blending, but at least now she blends in with the scenery, with a brand new terraformed hill to enclose Stress's swamp base and prop up her pet pink cactus. In fact, Stress's terraforming mojo has gone into overdrive this week, quite aside from all her work lighting up Fred the Kingdom minigame, and she brings home the blocks to beautify areas of the swamp and tie them together with custom water features, a new tree line to conceal the nearby birch forest, and more hills to support the multi-story swamp shacks.
The only reason I'm so worried about working out here is because I keep getting attacked by stupid baby zombies. It's all I get attacked by, but they're everywhere, and there's a stupid squid and... Oh my good Gordons, alright.
Since everyone's kinda tidying up their bases, TFC follows suit, creating a unifying theme for all the entrances and exits to his fort walls, neatening up staircases, and dealing with unwanted zombie guests. Thankfully, his comments section is there to point out the odd places where the andesite is missing from the ceiling here, and that doorway there is 2 blocks wide instead of 3. So, on the topic of finishing long projects, Scar's vision for the overground community area comes pretty close to completion, which is something one wouldn't expect to even hear this season. The final ingredient is tree, and another one, and another one, and all custom. After more than 7 hours of sculpting pine and tentacles into existence, Scar is finally about ready to call it done. Hilariously, in the hustle, he might not have noticed Mumbo Jumbo removing his giant cake right from under Scar's nose.
Is that I will be taking the designs that we have outside and... Wait a sec. Something's missing here. The cake's gone. What in the world? Where did the cake go? All this time I've been here. I've been seriously working on this video for like 6 to 7 hours at this point. I had no idea the cake was gone. Clearly there's some ghost block cake blocks over there.
Next thing, you'll be surprised that Tango's base is nearly done, which Rendog discovers when he travels from his netherboard to the evil genius's vision of what the nether could be if it got off its butt, went to the gym and started being really evil. Ren's only there for some iron, continuing his mission to fill his storage room with every item in the game, but he can't help but look around.
Doesn't this give you a heart attack every time you log into the server living in this absolutely insane, evil place?
One look at Tango's base provides him the kick up the creative butt he needs to finish off the storage module for Cactus and Nether Wars, integrating its circuits into the netherboard style with the usual magma block and orange concrete shenanigans, and getting away with only a few light burns on the soles of his feet. Something that can absolutely be fixed by the new ice track to the end portal Wells builds in the Nether, after explaining for 5 minutes how a track to the end portal is not entirely necessary, making this the only one-way nether tunnel on the server, which confuses Xisuma greatly.
So realistically, like 99% of the time, you're not really going to care that much if you have like all this stuff, or if you have like a way back, right? Because you're just going to the end and then, you know, going back and then basically teleporting from the end to wherever your bed is.
It's supposed to be a one-way trip. So it would have made more sense for me to have used that portal.
Coincidentally, Xisuma has his own end room on his mind, the one in his exhibits where he keeps all his mob heads. In fact, the reason he was visiting the Enderman grinder was specifically to try and get Endermite and Silverfish heads. Having succeeded at that, he can finally finish the insides of his cave base, including another entrance in it, which X decides to fibre up to juxtapose with the original, very lava-y one.
And that, my friends, is the end of that project.
Joe Hills comes close to needing a bat cave of his own when he ditches his impressions of the British server members and opts for a Batman-style approach to reading Easter egg hunt clues.
Let's do our best false impression, guys. Congratulations on beating the game.
Seriously, Joe, you're not hunting down the Riddler, it's the Easter Bunny. Joe finishes the hunt despite flying around the server so much he uses up all his elytra durability and misinterpreting one clue so badly he stumbles on a much later clue. 2 wrongs don't make a right, but apparently they do make one heck of a shortcut. After finally tracking down the prize and claiming his share of cake, the world's greatest detective returns to Castle Ravenloft and maps the newly redecorated grounds, then settles for placing his Easter trophies inside the giant pig, although his conscience has something to say about this.
I think we did a pretty good job building this, don't you?
Unfortunately, you didn't do a good job at all.
Oh no, False Symmetry's childlike voice that represents my conscience. What do you think I should do?
You need to try again.
And finally there's Cubfan, and at this point he's just playing God for funsies. Having found a skeleton spawner beneath his mushroom island, Cub decides that the best way to utilise it is to funnel the boneheads up to the surface and force them into fighting iron golems. He doesn't even attempt a proper golem farm and instead throws together a piston-based assembly line, wasting tons of nearly free iron blocks on what is essentially the least efficient way to farm bones outside of raiding desert temples.
Okay, so now all we should have to do, in theory, place these 4 blocks, press this button, boom, there's our iron golem. Haha! That's sweet, I like it.
And that's just about it for this week's recap. Our writer is LoyXP, and my name is Pixel Riffs. Don't forget to check out episode 2 of the Hardcore Hermits recap, and tune in for episode 3 this Wednesday. Leave a like while you're still here, and subscribe so you won't miss future recaps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.